It is in history, so it is obtained in politics. Empires and government rise and fall according to the dictates of time and circumstances. For President Muhammadu Buhari, the fall from power for the All Progressive Congress, APC, may be May 2023 if the party fails to put its house in order. Top on the issue is that need. Urgent address is the party's national convention, which is still cast in doubt despite a planned February date. Meanwhile, the APC Reconciliation Committee has embarked on an arduous task of assuaging the grievances of aggrieved members, while in Lagos, the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, urged the committee members to perform their task with the fear of God for the desired results to be achieved. Jide, the All Progressive Congress, what is really the problem with the APC? The chairman of PDP said it that by the middle of this year, that this party might break into two.
The big problem that the APC faces is the bitter and frenetic contestation for power. You know, it's a product of many tendencies coming together. The APC, I mean the CPC, the ACN, the ABGA, all of them, and even the AMPP, they came together to form the APC. Unfortunately, those deep divisions have not been healed by years of working together as a party. Yes, they came together and defeated a party that once boasted that it will rule Nigeria for decades.
60 years.
They came together, but that was also largely because Nigerians wanted change. So APC was the vehicle for that change to happen. So the people jumped onto that vehicle to see the back of the PDP administration. But since then, those divisions, rather than shrink, have merely expanded. So there were places where, for example, I will tell you that we've had some divisions as far back as 2015 that have not been resolved. Yes, some issues that have not been since 2015. Sokoto is an example. They've had issues since 2015. Those issues have not been resolved. Now, what are we seeing? Some states where they didn't even have issues before. In 2019, they have their own fresh issues now. Look at Kabir. That's just an example. There are so many problems that the party is grappling with. And I can understand why Governor Sanwo-Olu will speak in this manner, because frankly, one way by which APC can move on and solve its problems is to have a very effective conflict resolution mechanism in-house. Put some of the most objective and highly respected people together. Get them to go and solve problems in the various states, so that you don't face the kind of crisis that you faced in 2019. We were saying it at that time that, look, these problems should be fixed. Some of them were calling us names. Some even have hated us since that time, despite the fact that what we warned them against eventually happened. Instead of solving those problems, they've let those problems expand. Yes, someone like me, Buni, the governor of Yobe State and interim chairman of the party, has done a lot in terms of making the party stronger through the acquisition. You know, just the way club chairmen and sporting directors sign footballers, through the acquisition of some powerful people from the rival PDP, like governors and the rest. It's done well to bring them on board. But many of the crises in the party, he has not been able to resolve. And that is the most important thing. You've got to resolve those those disagreements if you want the party to be in position to win future elections.
The president is saying that if care is not taken, the opposition will take over as a result of the crisis in APC. What can the president do? It's as if the president, when it comes to party matter, apart from wielding the big stick once in a while, it's like the president is always aloof. The last time his intervention was the removal of the Adams Oshiomhole NWC. And right now, it's as if the Buni-led Caretaker committee is as if they are foot dragging on the agenda and everything. But the president seems not to be so decisive.
You know, and that is where most people, if you talk to some APC members, that is where they are not entirely happy with the president. The president is seen as the father of the leader of that party. And when contentious issues come into the party like that, it's the father that is supposed to call them together and say, this is what I want, this is how it should be, and then everybody will toe the line. But the president's statement most time doesn't even give them hope, because sometimes it's just quiet. Sometimes you can't even feel or even see it from his expression where he's even leading. He's the one that's supposed to lead.
Yes, yes.
You understand? He's the one that's supposed to lead the party.
He won't show anybody's hands.
Yes.
He won't do anything. He just...
If you look at even when PDP were still in power,
yes, it was
you will always see your passenger telling you this is where I'm going, and everybody will fall in line. Even Jonathan, everybody will definitely fall in line. But Mr. President will always come. Sometimes he will not say anything, and then because he's not saying anything, you will begin to hear side talks. This is what Mr. President says, because they will name drop. This is what he's saying. This is how he's feeling.
This is what he wants.
And this is what he wants. And because of that, people will begin to look at it as if the president is not even in support of them. And that is why they have so many interests everywhere in the party and everywhere in the states. People will always say, I've gone to see Mr. President, and this is what he says. The people will not say it outside, but they will go to their constituency to go and say it. And at the end of the day, it brings bad feeling. And that is why the party is like this today, Ayo. The president needs to, because he's going, he knows he's already counting time.
Yes.
You know, the last interview he had, he was saying that he's even getting tired, that he wants to go. So, but he shouldn't get tired, because there was a party. There was a party that brought him to power.
Yes.
And he has to make sure that
party weaker
than when he wants to
when
leave.
he got power.
He has to make sure that the party is stronger before he leaves, because we don't want to a situation whereby everybody will be going to Daura to go and solve problem. No, you know. So he has to find how to bring everybody together.
The opposition say that they are saying, what can the president do at this time with this kind of situation?
No, he has to bring everybody together. I think that the president's style has not really helped the party. This style of wanting to not be seen to be supporting one side, this and that, and then you now allow things to fester for too long. Up to the point that it now becomes
some people
almost
will be
impossible.
fighting. They will be fighting.
You will see them, even within your own government, you see people.
You don't talk.
Look, Ayo.
Ministers will
There
not
are
talk.
times when you just have, there's a church in Ilorin. It's actually in Adewale Estate. You know, the 3 or 4 pastors were fighting one another. They refused to resolve it. You know what the youths did? The youths waited for them to come to church one day and sent all of them packing. He says, since you say you work for God and you can't resolve your differences, okay, from today, no more. You are not coming to this church anymore. They chase them away. And you know, youths can be very strong in the church. They chase them away. That what is in this thing? Is it not God that you claim you are working for? How come you have intractable differences you can't resolve? So the president has a big role to play because he's the leader of the party. He's the leader of the party. So he is the one that needs to bring everybody together and say, see, I want to leave behind a party that is strong and indivisible. The way it is now, the way the party, people are pulling in different directions. I mean, the party is not helped by the fighting between, at least between the leaders, even within the CPC itself. The people came from CPC. Malami, Darazo, the Minister of Education, Adamu. Are they together? Do they share the same belief? You need to investigate. You will see clearly that even though they were of the CPC stock, those three individuals, they are not on the same page. And that is the way it is. Within the ACN group, you will find Amosun, Ashiwaju, Dapo Abiodun. They are not being on the same side. So within even the subgroups, there is disunity even within the subgroups within the party. So this is the thing.
Okay, let's look at those state chapters now, specifically. I know when Dido was talking about crises that have been in some states since 2015. I remember Amechi, Magnus Abe, the crises in and out of courts, you know, and they still have that crisis now. Till now.
Ayo, about, you know, the reconciliation committee they are moving around. They have about, if not 10 to 12 states that they need to solve the problem. From Rivers to Ogun to Osun. I know they are going to Osun. Kwara, Kebbi, where again? Akwa Ibom,
Zamfara.
You know,
Zamfara is a big one.
That one is even a big one because, you know, so there's no, all of them, they have two chairmen. And they've not been able to solve the problem. Forget that, okay, yes, there's one. And then you now want to go into convention. If they go on like that without resolving the crisis that they have, it will now look like what happened in 2015 with PDP.
When they walked out on
the president. You know, and I'm not sure our president would like that to happen because he will be seated.
That would be ultimate.
He will be seated. You know, this is not something that they call family affair that PDP used to use that. Oh, don't worry, the family affair will solve it. No, let them solve it now, and then they will go to their convention, and everybody is happy.
Now, Jide, let's talk about the convention for the party fixed for February. Do you see this convention holding?
I've not seen any sign.
They say some governors will be seated. Will be sitting with Mr. President today to choose a date. For that convention, as I'm talking now, there might be that meeting.
That is another interest.
Okay, when ideally at the time you were choosing that date, that February, at that time you should have chosen the date. You don't just say, okay, February. You know. February so now, on what day in February? we are in January now.
Yes.
We are already moving on in January. After first week gone.
Yes, sir.
In January.
Yes,
we don't know what date. We cannot see preparations in place. In fact, conventions cost billions of naira to organize.
Exactly. The funniest thing is that when we see convention, when we see dates fixed, you will see ward, zonal, local government, states, and you now get the ultimate day for convention. Exactly. Everything will come out. But APC, they did every other thing. They left the day for this national convention, and they've been shifting it.
And this, even the state ESCOs that they had their election. They've not inaugurated.
They've not inaugurated.
They've not inaugurated. Yes. What they are waiting for, we don't know. I do not see the sign that a convention is about to take place. Let us tell ourselves the truth. Governors own the APC. Governors chased away Oshiomhole. Governors brought May Malabuni. Governors extended May Malabuni's tenure. Governors chose February as the date that this thing will happen. All of these things I'm saying, they are there, you can verify. If the governors are still, if from the signs that we are seeing, if the governors do not want the convention to take place, because the other day, did you not see when some governors claimed that they were they were endorsing May Malabuni that they wanted to continue. 10 governors. 10 governors. Yes. They have 21 governors. Yes. So if 10 governors have come out to say they want May Malabuni to continue, that is a sign that within the governors, they do not even want convention to take place. Now the question is, because this matter of the convention is important. It can make or mar the party. The question is, are these governors willing to let convention take place? Are they? If they do not want it at this time, who will fund it? You need at least 10 billion to hold that convention. Conventions are very expensive. And even after that convention, you will now have the presidential primaries, yes, which is similar in scope. Is similar in scope to another convention, which also costs a lot of money. Yes. So these governors that I see, and I've been saying that we must do something about our all-powerful governors. If these governors don't want the convention to take place, what can the party do? That is what can the other people and other power blocks in the party do? Because there is no sign. I won't be surprised if they had their meeting with the president and then they come out again to say, look, it doesn't look feasible. I won't be surprised, because we've seen this thing, you know, since when they've been postponing, extending May Malabuni's time. This whole thing was meant to be just 6 months. Just 6 months. It's turning to years. Yes, it's years. We're talking about years now. Yes. So, for me, to answer your question, I do not see any sign that a convention will take place. They have also been arguing that, remember what this man said, the former governor of Abia State, Oji Uzokali, was the first to fly that kite, that APC can't do convention now, that if they do convention now, the party will implode, the party will split into pieces. So is he the one that the governors are listening to? Because I'm seeing signs that these governors don't want convention to take place.
Okay, joining us via Zoom for more discussion on this is ex-journalist Deji Badimosi. Thank you for joining us, Deji.
Thank you, Ayo.
Deji, what is the bone of contention? Why is it seemingly difficult for the All Progressive Congress to have its national convention?
Well, I think essentially the basic reasons have been given by Babajide Titoju and the other guest there. I mean, there's no question at all that what is actually happening in the APC is a question of, I would say, it's a question of power play and selfish interest. Let's put it that way. You're seeing a party where the members, it would appear, in their conduct, do not seem to believe in the overall interest of the party. They are actually not working for the overall interest of the party. They are working for their individual interests. I mean, that's essentially what this is. And that's why, there's this contention over whether or not the convention should take place in the first place. I mean, it's part of this selfish interest and ego that led to what happened in Rivers State, for instance, and of course what happened in Zamfara State, and it's still happening anyway. And just as Babajide said, unfortunately, we have a president who doesn't seem to be very much interested in the affairs of the party. And I think we can to some extent understand the president. I mean, don't forget the last interview he granted, he did say something very important. I mean, the one he granted to NTA now. He did say age was no longer on his side, that it's actually not easy piloting the affairs of state at his age, 79. There's no question at all. Now, you know how difficult it is to pilot the affairs of this country. Now, add that to the problems of the party, then it becomes a bigger problem. At some point, we thought the president was going to design a method where he would leave certain leadership, identified leadership of the party now to actually pilot the affairs of the party. But the president did not do that. If he tried to do that, he did not demonstrate it at all. He did not, for instance, clearly demonstrate that, look, these are the recognized party leadership, that people should listen to their voices. Now, where you have where you don't have that kind of situation, what you would have is what exactly is at play now. So you have various interests taking advantage of the fact that first the president, in terms of his age, and then the fact that he's not very much interested in the way the affairs of the party is run. So they're taking advantage to take control of the party, so to speak. So it's really unfortunate, and I think the only way this issue can be resolved is we saw the way the president came out when things were going awry. When they had when Oshiomhole was removed, we saw the way the president came out. So I think at some point, in spite of his age, whether he likes it or not, and if he's very much interested in this party and interested in life after his presidency, I mean the life of this party now after his presidency, then the president would have to move to do something. I mean, it would have been a very perfect thing. It would have been very perfect if we were operating in a normal system. Because, look, yes, the president is the leader of the party, but, you know, under normal situation, you would not expect the president to begin to exert executive powers over the party. But that's the way our system is. Unfortunately, that's the way our system is. And the way it is, he's the only voice that people would listen to. But I think the bottom line is, the members of the APC, the powers that be in the APC, have got to sit down and ask themselves, what exactly is going to happen to our party after 2023? Mm-hmm. Is this going to be the end of the road for our party? Do we want our party to just be in power for 8 years, and after that we're just out of the way? They have to ask themselves those questions, and if they're able to answer those questions, then they'll be able to rise above their personal and selfish interests. Ego is a very big issue here. So for me, I think it's very important, unless they're able to resolve these issues. Of course, even if that convention takes place, it would end up in a very chaotic manner, and they would not be going to their elective presidential primaries now in one voice, and you're going
that's good.
Will implode, and then the opposition will take advantage that at the end of the day will just be
now there is something I want to ask you, Deji. Can you hear me?
Are you still there?
Deji, you can hear me, right?
yes.
If the governors were to tell the president that, Mr. President, this convention cannot take place in February, what do you think the president would do? Do you think the president can stop them, given the fact that a lot of the big decisions that have been taken in this party in the last 2 years have been largely muted by these governors? Do you think they can get the president to, do you think the president can do anything about it if they say, no, this election, we don't want this convention in February?
Well, let me just answer that straight away. Look, if you look at the will between the governors, and to some extent you could say the voice of the governors is actually the voice of the president, and the voice of the president is actually the voice of the governors. Look at what played out with the issue of the controversial electoral act, why the president didn't sign. We all know that the governors didn't want the president to sign that act. You know what happened. So if the governors, honestly, I think if the governors were to go up to the president and say, look, we do not want the primaries to hold, they have a way, they have their own way of having their way now with the president. And I think to some extent the president will side with them, because let's tell ourselves the truth. Quite a number of these governors actually have the ears of the president. And even though the president has not made it openly so, the truth is that to some extent he's left the party in the hands of these governors. And that's the reason why you have a sitting governor running the affairs of the party as a chairman of the party, so to speak. I'm talking about the governor of Yobe State, Malabu. So they have the ears of the president. And I do not think the president would go against them.
Finally, from me, there are governors who are saying, look, we can't go into a convention at this time. The party is fractured. If we try it, we'll end up, the blowback will be very bad for the party and for everyone. Are the reasons of the fractured nature of the party, people that need to be reconciled and all that, are there sufficient reasons to not hold this convention next month?
No. Now, this is the point. The question we should ask is, as we speak today, even before now, what efforts have these governors made to reconcile the fractured interest in the party?
Yeah.
So we can't even see any effort being made as we speak to reconcile the fractured interest in the party. So if there were efforts in place, then you could to some extent say, okay, maybe they needed more time, that they are making progress, maybe they needed more time to reconcile everyone. But the truth is that no effort as we speak, genuine effort I mean now, is being made to reconcile the various interests in the party. Whether you're talking about Lagos State, whether you're talking about Rivers State, whether you're talking about Zamfara State, take Zamfara for instance. Tell me in truth, Jide, what genuine effort has been made to reconcile the various interests in that state?
It's getting worse.
None. As far as I'm concerned, none. None. It's even getting worse. So if the governors are hinging their reasoning on the differences in the party, the question you want to ask is, what exactly are they doing to reconcile these various interests? They're not doing anything. And I think if they fail to hold that convention, they'll be asking for more trouble, because things are going to get worse than they are now. Things are going to get worse than they are now. Unfortunately, the way things are now, because they did not make this genuine effort and move early enough to reconcile the various interests of the party, things would appear to be going awry. But then it's still not too late. It's still not too late, because we know that part of the fundamental problem of the party is the governors.
Yes.
And if these governors choose to bury their self-interest, then half of the problem of the party will be resolved. That's the way I see it.
I want to thank you, multi-award winning Deji Bademosi. Thank you, of TV360. Thank you for joining us, Deji. So, as what we have on ground here now is that from what I have gotten in the last 48 hours, I'm sure DG is also close to these people. There's a move to push the convention. I'm telling you, within the governors and some people,
they started it.
Yes, they've started the campaign to move the convention from February.
Well, if
they may succeed.
If that is their plan,
You might hear that
we
too.
know, just like DJ said, the president has more or less given the party to the governors.
Autopilot.
So whatever the governors will tell him, I'm not sure, because they are having a meeting with the president today. So I'm not sure there will be anything different. So the only thing they will come and say, okay,
They've always had their way.
yes, we have spoken with Mr. President, and we will get back to you on the new date for the convention. You know, so we won't be surprised if they come with that particular phrase. You know, but I'm just worried about those who are genuine members of the party, because a political party is supposed to be comprised of people who pay dues and they make sure that, okay, we are members of this party. But now that they have governors who have turned themselves to lords of manor,
owners of the
and
party,
the owners of the party,
No matter how big you are,
respecting those who own the party, who came together to form this party, then it's a very big problem.
Julie, look, it's a make or mar year for the All Progressive Congress, this 2022. Now, whether you like it or not, the People's Democratic Party, they have a kind of head start.
Yes.
They've been able to organize their convention.
Yes. And they had a national chairman.
The national chairman, and they just had 2 slots that they went to convention to fight for. If the APC want to use the model of the PDP, say, reach consensus, bring everybody together, try and choose one person ahead of this convention, do you see this happening?
It's difficult. It's difficult. the tendencies within the APC fighting against one another are greater than those of the PDP. One, whether we like it or not, APC has replaced the PDP as the biggest party in Africa. So, to that extent, the disparate groups, the groups contesting for power, they are much greater in the APC than the PDP. Because APC is the ruling party.
Stakes are high.
Because APC has many states where even before an election, whatever happens, the winner will come from the APC. Look at Yobe, for example. Look at Borno, for example. It's one party state in those places. Whoever wins the primaries of the APC knows that he has won the national election. You understand? So that is why across those states, there is so much contest for power, because they know once I emerge, it's done and dusted. So how the members of the party, I said that earlier, how they take control of the party, because what we are seeing now, we never had it during the Awolowo years. Yes, one was young, but at least we can remember some things. The party, the strength of the party was the members.
Collective.
They were the ones, members funded the party. Members fielded the candidates. It's not a case of somebody will just take money. Somebody will just take money and then be determining who becomes what. It can't be happening like that. So what we need to do, the governors, from what we see, a lot of the governors do not want this convention. And where 10 governors go to say that they have endorsed May Malabuni to continue, that's about half of the people. Do you know how many governors have moved to join those ones now?
Because we are talking of 10 before.
Yes, I mean, this thing that I'm talking about is happened weeks ago now. Do you know how many of them will have been promised that, look, we will ensure that you get a second term, this and that? Do you know how many of them have gone? We are talking about 10 governors. 10 could have become 15 or 16 as we speak. So, how the people take the party from those who have now seized it by the jugular is what we should be talking about. Then, ahead of the meeting, no one is sure what will happen. But the convention may have not seen any sign.
You'll be shocked if you get that February date.
No, they should even tell us the date.
Even if it is February 28th, which is the last of February.
Why should it be even that? Because I'm thinking that the best thing to do is to have those primaries of Osun and Ekiti. Quickly have the convention before those ones. So that whatever anybody wants to go to court or not, you know that you've had your convention and you've done those primaries. But these governors are not bothered about all these things.
Okay. Alhaji Usman Ibrahim joins us on phone now from Yola, Adamawa State. Thank you for joining us, Alhaji.
Thank you. And you're welcome.
Yes. Can you tell us what more you know about the crisis within the All Progressive Congress? Why is it difficult to have just a convention, a national convention?
Thank you for having me. First and foremost, let me take this opportunity to welcome my friend back, having gone on a short break of the Christmas and the New Year.
Thank you.
Highly high-profile duty at the war zone in the Northeast. I congratulate you for doing a very nice job for our nation.
Thank you, sir.
And Mr. Balujide, congratulations. And as you are discussing the issue of the National Convention of the APC, we have said it counts to that number, in particular reference to even all the assertions that Babajide has made during the 2015 elections. The greatest problem, the greatest undoing of the APC as it is today is their inability to develop a mechanism of reconciliation in the internal conflict of the party.
Yeah.
It has happened in 2015. They have failed to do that, and which resulted into the APC losing about 5 or more of the states under their control during the 2015 elections. And fortunately, we have said it loud and clear at that time. It has happened, and they are not using what an adjective be saying, and a proverb being said in Hausa, that Nagaba can sang Zurpirwa. It has happened to the PDP in 2015, and the APC has seriously played with that troubled waters in 2019. They lost out, and which is fortunately for certain circumstances of the credibility and the political standing of the president, the APC narrowly won the election, and as it is today, one of the greatest problems of the party is the inability of the party to organize itself properly, to develop a mechanism for reconciling divergent views in almost many of the states. And as it is today, they have agreed. We have conducted our congresses from the world to the state in about almost 30-something states. But up till now, the requirement of the Electoral Act is to the effect that political parties, before conducting their elections, they must have successfully conducted all their congresses in all the local government, in all the states, so that we have a proper representative convention, which is totally presently absent, because there are some few states that are yet to conclude their congresses, including my state. There are 2 local governments who are still in contention, which has not been concluded, precisely Movie North and Movie South. And I'm happy that the president himself has now realized the dangers inherent in the division within the APC, and has warned the leadership of the party to be very careful, as per his statement last during his press conference with the channel television and the NTA. And I hope they will now listen and see to reason that they must have to do justice to all and ensure that we do not repeat the fallout in the 2015 and 2019 elections.
I want to thank you.
And I believe.
Thank you, Alhaji Usman Ibrahim. Thank you for your intervention. And Asuko.
You want to add something?
Okay. You want to say something? Lefty. So, some people are saying that it's these governors that are the ones that are killing, they want to kill this party.
No, it's obvious now. It's obvious, Ayo, because the governors are I don't want to call it a mistake, because it was just a stopgap, to see how they can find their footing before they start.
But looking at
because that 6 months, after that 6 months, everybody had expected that they would have done away with the Buni-led Caretaker committee and then have executive members. But the governors did not allow that because they had ulterior motive.
I think they are
and
more,
the ulterior motive was 2023.
I think they are more comfortable with one of their own.
Yes, that is what they want to do.
The other people, than even the people who are contesting now. When you look at the people who want to be chairman now, there is nobody that they trust. So they are now imagining that, okay, we are comfortable with May Malabuni. He's one of us. So is it not better for one of us to continue?
To stay even till the elective?
Because that now there is a contest now between governors and the National Assembly, for which governors are baying for blood. Because the National Assembly caucus of the APC pushed for direct primaries. So now amongst those contesting for the chairmanship, national chairmanship, are National Assembly members. Governors are like, those who wanted to hijack the party from us. They are the ones now who want to contest. So there is no way they will feel comfortable with those National Assembly members, like former governor of Nasarawa, the man from Niger, you know, and others who are contesting. So they feel, from the way I gauge their mood, one, they don't want the convention, and they feel comfortable with Mai Mala Buni, and they would like to do whatever it takes for Mai Mala Buni to continue in office. But does that not have legal implications? I don't think they are even thinking about that. They appear to think that that nothing
that we can always fix it.
Yes.
We also have another guest from Abuja. Awan Hassan joins us from Abuja. Thank you for joining us, Awan. Oh, it's as if Awan is not ready. So, you know, when you want to look at this, majority of this interest you're talking about is tied to the 2023 elections.
Yes.
Somebody somewhere want to be vice president, somebody somewhere is positioned to be the presidential candidate, somewhere. Do you understand?
Nobody wants to pick his own candidate.
Yeah. By the time you're looking at the permutation, you will know that, you know, it's all.
Yeah, you see, even when some Nigerians or all Nigerians are sleeping, these guys are all awake. They are doing plotting graph.
Beyond what
They
we're
are
talking
plotting
about.
graph for us. You understand? We might be sitting and saying that, okay, fine, so person might be the next president. But I tell you, some people somewhere have already they already know who the president will be. Forget about whatever we are going to, the votes we will cast. In their minds, they already know who, this is it. And that is where the problem lies now, Ayo. The governors are sitting down, they are plotting their graphs. They know if they enter this place, this is where we want to go. If you move to this, okay, this is what they want to do. And then they already know, just like we are saying, BKO just said, they are not even thinking about the judiciary.
No.
They are not. They are after, okay, this is what they want. When they get to that judiciary part,
I think they think that
they will cross it.
nothing will happen.
They just believe that nothing will happen. Because if they move this convention, if they move it, they are not even thinking about the implication. They are not.
And there's
guidelines, serious,
timetable,
of course.
There's something,
and that is what the president was even saying.
Yes.
If the president was looking at the guidelines and saying that if we do not do
because by
this
August, by July, August, they must come back. Come back for the elective convention to choose the presidential candidate.
The presidential candidate. So that is the problem. I'm very sure they are not even, the APC governors are not looking at that.
They are. Funness.
Okay, let's just say Ayo. I'm not sure they are looking at that.
Yeah, I don't think they are worried about that. If they are worried about that, 10 of them won't be saying that they have endorsed Mai Mala Buni. That's a vote of confidence by almost half of the members. And as I'm saying, we don't know those who have crossed to that side. Because governors are divided into two. The first-term governors.
Yes.
And the ones that are second-term governors and first-term governors. So, but when it comes to deciding, and the issue of ticket is at play, a governor who wants to bring his own people for National Assembly, for even the governorship in the state, he does not want anything to get involved, anything that will stop him from realizing that dream. He sees Mai Mala Buni as one of them who is likely to allow his own candidates to sail through. So this is the way they are thinking. And they think that even some of these guys who want to contest, they are going to revenge against governors. So that is the way they are thinking. And from what I'm seeing, from the snippets that have been putting together, and that's what I'm saying, that the party members must find a way to return this party to the people. Because the way things are now, the way the party is structured now, governors are extremely powerful. If they move in this direction, just as DG2 concord, the president is likely to support them. The president is not likely to go against them.
But you know, this thing is not new. During the era of Obasanjo and the PDP, there was a time that the governors were the power broker within the People's Democratic Party. It's not peculiar to APC alone.
Yes, it's not. It's not. In fact, Obasanjo, even in deference to the powers of the governors, told them to go and choose from within their ranks who will succeed him. Yes, he told them, go and choose one of your own. And when Jonathan was to pick a deputy, it was a sitting governor that he went for. He picked the governor of Kaduna State. You remember now? Namadina said,
No,
you know? So they've always gotten what they wanted, both in PDP and APC. Look at PDP. They were the ones who even chose the way the convention will run. The governors literally decided everything. It is not democracy anymore.
Yes, sir.
If a group of people will just be deciding for everybody. But the question is, what can we do? I asked that question. Can the president, if all of these governors came together to say, look, we don't want that convention, sir. Amin Malabune could argue that, look, I've been told that if this election, if this convention goes ahead, that the party will break up. I'm sure he will be worried.
Calm down.
And if Malabune says he doesn't want it to happen under his watch, and he convinces his colleagues, and they come to the president and they say, Mr. President, we can't do that convention. Can he cause them to change their minds? I don't think so.
Awan Hassan is with us now. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, sir.
Yes, Awan.
Yeah, good afternoon, Ayo.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us.
Well done.
Thank you, my brother.
Yeah, welcome back.
So,
I'm Daniel Ajayi. I welcome this your opinion and the idea, but please remind APC that the opposition are waiting for them to fall completely.
Okay. Now,
that is a one-liner.
Yes, it's very valid point.
Yes.
So it's very unpredictable to say what will happen in next year election now.
Yes,
but
it's too early.
It's too early. But it's not as if PDP
they have their crisis too.
Yes, they are following bumper to bumper to dislodge APC, to capitalize on the mistakes of APC.
Though they also have their own crisis, so they are not immune to that, to this same problem that APC.
So they may not be able to reap from.
No, but for
APC
them to
crisis.
reap from it, that is another story for another day. Because even with the way it's going, it doesn't look like, because they also have their own problems.
So
because at the end of the day, you will find out that people are talking about having a third party, but I'm not sure Nigerians will want to fall into that. They prefer.
Is it not too late for a third?
No. It's
less than 1.5 years.
You know, so it will be too. It will be even be risky. It will be risky. So Nigerians would rather want to say, okay, fine, let's just take anyone, and that is very bad for democracy for us. You know, just trying to say, okay, let's just. It's like gambling, and which is not good. We are supposed, by now, Nigerians are supposed to know that, okay, this is the person that they want to vote for. He has the credential. Then from there, we begin to look at the economy, and then this is person who is going to better my life. But as it stands today, Ayo, with what is happening in APC and what is happening in PDP, is even making Nigerians more confused.
Wow, we have to leave it there.